I love talking to filmmakers about filmmaking. And this past week and a half, I've been doing one-on-one onboarding calls with the filmmakers that have signed up for the Filmmaker Retreat Joshua Tree. It's September 25th. You leave the morning of the 28th with a plan, with actionable steps on how to get your career to the next level. I'm going to share all my tips and tricks and voodoo, and you're going to network and meet like-minded filmmakers. And there's a ton of activities that we've got planned. There's a showcase, there's a case study, there's camaraderie, which is one of my favorite things. It's probably the main reason I do it. I love being an accessible mentor, and I love learning from other filmmakers. I have an appetite for knowledge that I get hanging around other filmmakers. If you're interested, DM me. Let's start the show.
It's time for Respect the Process, a short chat about commercial filmmaking. Here's your host, director Jordan Brady.
Helen, that was just wonderful. Thank you. It is the 9th of July, 2025. My guest is Tony Franklin, a terrific filmmaker. He does commercials, documentaries, passion projects. And we talk about his new doc, a passion project indeed, called The Big Greenhouse. Not to be confused with the large greenhouse where people might grow hydroponic plants or whatever. I don't know. It's about a house where this couple and their family brought in like 80 different people in need over the last 16 years with no money. And Tony did this project over the course of 6 years. At one point, he tells us that they lost the hard drives when they switched editors, which could you imagine losing the hard drives to a project? Oh my gosh, that would drive me crazy. Tony and his friend, and my friend Ryan Koch, a terrific filmmaker in his own right, hosts something called the Filmmakers Forum here in Los Angeles. If you're in town visiting or you live here, check it out. It's July 28th at 6 o'clock. I have some big news before we get to Tony. I'm so excited. The Magic Mind people are going to put some, this is like round 2 of these influencer videos. I am a grandpa influencer, or what we call a grandfluencer in the business. And I uploaded some takes I'd done promoting Magic Mind on set, and some stuff that Ben Brady had shot and directed me and DP'd it and kind of interviewed me. We did some funny bits. And their editing team did just such a wonderful job. I think they're hopped up on Magic Mind Max, which has like 160 grams of time-released caffeine. Now, I don't know if the code Brady 20 works for the Magic Mind Max. I'm sure it must. They also have Magic Mind Free, which has 0 caffeine, and I'll pass on that one. I'm old school. I go with Magic Mind, the original formula, because of the ashwagandha, which is just a fun word to say at a party. Got the lion's mane, the vitamins, the ceremonial grade matcha. Hey, Jordan, we know you talk about the Magic Mind all the time. We don't care what's in it. The effects are good, because I have a habit of, I get up at like 6 a.m., I make my bed, because I saw that video on YouTube where the Admiral said make your bed every day, so I've been doing it for decades now. I take my my medicine, because I'm older. I drink a cup of coffee, and then about 20 minutes later, after scrolling, answering some emails, checking LinkedIn, Instagram, that's when I shoot the mental performance shot we call the Magic Mind. And it just keeps me on task. I get a lot done before some people wake up. You know, this artist's life of sleep until 9, 10 a.m. Okay, maybe that's you. Maybe, and I don't judge. But I like to get all the busy work out of the day in the morning. I think the Magic Mind is helping me the last couple of years just stay on point, stay on task. And then 10, 11 o'clock, that's when I'm in prep, I'm doing storyboards, I'm editing behind the scenes for you people. Trying to get some output, as I like to say. Use the code Brady20. There will be Magic Mind at the Filmmaker Retreat. We have a handful of spots left. It is limited to 15 filmmakers. You just get to Joshua Tree, And your room, your food. When they say room and board, I don't know what that means. You get your own private room. Now, it's small, but it has a comfortable bed, a shower, of course, and a crank and air conditioner. We eat all of our meals catered as a group. That's an elective. You don't have to, but by golly, it is one of my favorite parts. And then I'm going to show a Zoom call that I recorded from a pitch, and I can pinpoint the moment that the creative team gave me the job. And if that's of value to you, that's a reason to sign up. I also go over budgets, just fully transparent about the markup, what I make, what we charge, how we do that. Of course, there's the theme of define your voice. There'll be some exploration in the personal growth sense of that word. And of course, we go on a hike, and we have a party Saturday night, and we have a screening on Friday night. It's so much fun to hang with other filmmakers. So if you're interested, please hit me up. And did I shout out Chad Tingle winning the Silver Cans Lion for his Coors Light work, Helen? Did I do that on another show? Because I know it's been 2 weeks now. Oh, my goodness. Congratulations, Chad, if you're listening. A terrific filmmaker. So, okay, enough of me babbling. Let's get to Tony Franklin. Oh, you know what else you're going to love? We talk about the changing landscape of these treatments and how he's done jobs that he didn't have to do a treatment for. And I've done more jobs without treatments in the last 2 years than I have with. So I predict it's the end of an era. Well, I'm tricking myself into believing that. Okay, let's cue up the interview with Tony Franklin. Tony Franklin is a commercial director, a documentary director, producer, filmmaker, all-round bon vivant, host of the Filmmakers Meetup. Tony, welcome back to what is your 17th time on Respect the Process.
At least 16th, if not 17th, right.
And, taking a cue from SNL, the Five Timers jacket, I have the Four Timers fez, and I appreciate you wearing it from one of your many visits.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tony, how you been?
I've been good, man. It's been busy. A lot of passion projects, some paid projects. I feel fortunate because I know it's a rough time of the year or a rough year for people, you must be a good luck charm because I just booked a job this morning.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I'm excited about it. Shoots first or second week of August. And I've been working on this job trying to get it for maybe 3 weeks now, off and on. I did not have to do a treatment.
Oh, I love that. I think treatments may have seen their better days. I think they may be waning.
Much like how my first 10, 15 projects came about when I still had my day job at Target as a creative.
Right.
People saw my passion projects and said, hey, we want that, but for this. And that's what happened here is they saw one of the passion projects that I did get through that in the early days. They saw that passion project and want it for this project that they have. So it's kind of full circle, I guess.
Well, I remember meeting you umpteen years ago at a little cafe in Santa Monica. And
yes.
And you had already done a few docu pieces on your own passion projects. You were moonlighting while still in-house creative at Target. And I want people to digest that for a minute because the way you said, I had my day job at Target. They picture you wearing the vest with the Tony name tag and a sticker gun.
I used to call it not that I had to wear this, but the red and khaki attacky.
The red khaki attacky, yeah. So you didn't wear that. You were up in the attic in the creative department in Minneapolis.
Right. Exactly.
You've always had a strong point of view as a filmmaker, even in those early pieces. And that's the whole goal. I'm sure before the listener heard this part of the show today, wherever they're listening in their car or Spotify or, on the treadmill with Apple, they heard me plug the Filmmaker Retreat, which is all about finding your voice. And one of the key components to finding your voice is doing the passion projects, because the passion project, you have unbridled control to express yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even if it was a documentary piece, or if I wanted to break out and do a little bit of comedy and write your own comedy piece, I produced a comedy piece for like $1,400 that led me into like, basically people were like, your work is great. Do you have anything with a wig? And I was like, not yet, but I'm going to write something. I'm going to make something.
That spot.
Yeah, Burt Barrington.
No, I remember when you did that comedy bit. That was funny.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah. I mean, it got me into a comedy spot where I was like, hey, Jordan, like later on, probably my fourth comedy spot. I was like, hey, I got a question about this comedy spot coming up. And you're like, yeah, how about, this is like on a Monday. You're like, yeah, how about in a couple days? I'm like, we're shooting tomorrow. You're like, oh, this is an emergency. Okay, give me an hour. And you so kindly hopped on the phone with me and went through the boards with me and gave me some ideas.
If you're telling me that that spot was successful for you, then I was highly instrumental.
Yeah.
In its success. But wait a minute.
Residuals.
Do you know my son, Ben Brady, just sent me a screenshot of a USAA spot, a dog and a cat in a little pink toy car. And they were driving down the street. It's about, I don't know what it's for, car insurance. And we shot it in 2022, 3 years ago. And they're rerunning it. And directors do not get residuals for commercials.
Yeah, I was joking, but yeah.
Yeah. But hey, so I guess the point about having a point of view and defining your voice, that's the best. You're living the dream, brother. When they come to you for what you do, that's the name of the game.
Yeah, this job that I just won today, actually, they were on the production company 8th Street, their website, and just saw this documentary I did and said, hey, we want that. And so there's no compete, there's no treatment. They just basically saw the tone of that documentary and said, hey, we need that, for this commercial.
What's it called? 8th Street?
8th Street, yeah. Like
Spell
the street.
That for me.
8th, like
not 7th.
No, the numeral 8. TH Street.
Yeah, 8th Street.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to say. So you are a freelance director now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been on a couple of rosters, but over the last 12 years of directing, mostly freelance.
And that works out great for you.
I mean, yeah, it has its positives. It has its rough times where you don't have the support that you wish you would have, with like True Gent. But yeah, I mean, it's got its ups and downs, but I think being able to, I think unless you're an A-list director or have your own production company, I think it's good to be freelance, but I don't know. I don't have the answers. For me, that's what's been best, because when I've been on a roster, it wasn't their fault. It was timing that I joined a roster right before COVID. It's just like, not their fault. And I'm still friends with everyone on the rosters that I've joined and stuff. Great people. But for me, I don't know if it's a sign just to be freelance, but I'm always still on the search for the right roster.
Really? I thought you were going to say, I'm now comfortable in this freelance role and I am never going to look back.
Well, I have to be at this point, but and I do enjoy it. It's great. It's like, I think actually, it's been a slower year, but I've done some good jobs. But in the last like 2 weeks, I'm very surprised at how the upswing has been. I'm up for, a handful of jobs, I'd say, that I'm just excited about. And there are jobs that just kind of fit my wheelhouse where I don't think I'll do a treatment if I do get in the short list, or I might do a treatment because it's one of them's for a big brand, and that production company might be like, yeah, we're going to, they do want a treatment, and well, that's normal. Let's do it, So
I've done less and less treatments. And if it's repeat business, then I have the trust of the agency and the client. So I did a pretty decent job in the spring both repeat client, and it was like the sequel from pre-pandemic, like that long ago. They did part 2 now, and they've requested my stick figure drawings.
Yeah,
The client was like, is he going to draw the storyboards? We love his drawings. And any listener knows, if you follow me on Instagram, they're like left-handed 3rd grade level drawings.
yeah. Just check out the Directing Voodoo book.
Yes, they populate the book. But what's great, Tony, about the lack of treatment, when I was saying I think they've seen their better days, it's, in my theory, is because the agencies have these like 27 to 52 page decks, and they're using AI and putting keyframes and storyboards. And now the agency, they're working too hard. They're putting like the shots and like, maybe we can find one location that serves for 3 different bits. Like, no shit, right? Like they're spelling out all the things, and God bless them for their knowledge. But it's like, why do directors now need to regurgitate and do a mid-journey image to match your mid-journey? It's so specific.
Yeah, I think what's even better is what they now call a character call. Like, if you're new to this agency, they haven't worked with you before.
Vibe check.
Yeah, vibe check. Like, just like, hey, do we want to, does this guy girls show passion for this job? Whoever, like, do they want this job? And are they going to show up and deliver on this job and show passion throughout the prep to the edit? You know what I mean? So I think, but there's still a very traditional model that, like this one job I'm up for, I definitely know that I'm going to go through the treatment process, but
especially if it's new.
Yeah. And I think with like, being able to write with Chat GPT and, Source Creative, download GIFs and things like this, it's becoming less of like a wondrous dream of trying to put something together, right? Like it used to take 4 days and just sweating it out. Now, like, I think you can get it done in a day or two and get your ideas across because you have ideas, and that basically comes down to what it is. What's your idea? But you can do that through a call, but still do it through a treatment.
I love doing the bones of the treatment, and I stopped putting in the like casting is crucial and even mock-ups of people, unless it's so like, because everyone wants diversity, and I name the characters in my treatment. If it's man 1, woman 1, man 2, I give them names, and I'll do 1 picture per character. But I'm not putting like look and feel unless it's so specific. But I have put something in it. I hope it doesn't read as sarcastic as it'll sound here. The look of the film will be like anything you've seen on my reel that got me to this point. Like, because everybody's shit looks good. Like, you've seen the reel. You like the look of that one spot. It turned out great. Am I going to write about the saturation and all? Unless again it's germane to the execution of that specific idea?
Yeah, I think that there's still maybe the prospect of the agency, already knows who they want in the first call, right? But they need these treatments to go to their client and be like, look at what we present.
Yeah,
that's
how everyone loves your commercial that we created.
Yeah. So I think that's where it might still be a hinge on them to make you do a treatment. Is like, look, we have these 3 directors, Sheila, Tony, Jordan, all put out great treatments. We think Sheila's the best. This is her treatment, So I think there might still be that pendulum that we just don't, we can't control, agency can't control, but I will say, like, I have you worked with PPS out of like Ohio, Kentucky area?
No, but I know the PPS.
Yeah, they were great. I just did
they're the big production company in South something Ohio.
Right, yeah. So I just did 5 pharmaceutical spots with them, and it went so smooth. And I did not have to do a treatment, is what I'm saying. And I got 5-day shoot with, a pharmaceutical budget, and Bill Mann and Deb Price at PPS. Like,
I know Deb Price and Bill Mann. Bill Mann is a great guy.
One of the nicest guys.
Deb Price is phenomenal.
Yeah, she's super talented too. So I just had such a great time working with them. And, but again, I did not have to do a treatment. All I had to do was put a private website up and a couple DPs that I would like to work with, and got the job. So that's so lucky and great that I was so surprised. But it was one of my favorite jobs I've done.
The last thing I'll say about the treatments, I was recently talking with a creative director who mentioned they're all starting to look the same because of Canva, Adobe Express, and AI. And I would extend that without that person knowing, probably to Shot Deck, and you mentioned Shots, like you can download, or eSource Creative, whatever it's called now. He said everybody's getting the same GIF, and the camera whips over, and I don't need the words to fly in.
Yeah.
And
so
the topic to drop down and rain. And
yeah, there's also like goodtreatments.com where you can download, like they have like probably like 60 treatments. You can download one for like $30. It's already designed.
I got those. That young man was on the podcast, but I bought one. Yeah, it's he's from Kazakhstan, I believe. But I didn't like it because I thought, oh my God, by the time I modify this template, I could just make up my own.
Yeah. I mean, the footers and things like that are the fonts. I have a graphic design background, so I think some of it was pretty good for $30. If you were like a new director and never made a treatment before, like that's gold.
I wrote a thought piece, as they call it, for the Little Black Book people on treatments. And the one thing I'll say about the AI and the templates and, the Canva of it all, it does level the playing field. So the barrier to entry is lower for the newer director to have a spiffy treatment if they doesn't have the resources of a production company behind them to hire the digital nomad in Paris who just makes treatments.
Yeah, I think that's what it's made for. Yeah. I do think that's what, even like my nephew in high school, I'm like, you got a project due, a presentation? I'm like, good treatments, buddy. Like,
oh, wow. That's a great hot tip for the parent and the listener.
Yeah.
Cool. My daughter moved home from Brooklyn, and she's an actor, been doing the verticals, and she's doing these self-tapes all the time. And she's been booking, so she's making some money. And I said, "You still need money?" She goes, "Yeah, always." And I said, "Why don't you help me with a Google Doc for a pre-pro book coming up?" Like the Google Doc, I think. Well, and this is kind of a segue. The agencies, and I've done a few client direct gigs now, no treatment, where the almighty living, breathing Google Doc or Microsoft PowerPoint, whatever it is. They're all kind of translatable now. I'll just say Google Doc. The Google Doc is this weird, like, amoeba of information. It grows, it swells, it shrinks, and somebody has to be the arbiter. It's not always the director. There's, an agency producer or creative director, but I've been on it like, oh, I'm going to drop things in the deck. And at the same time, it says, Kathy is is reviewing the deck. Yeah. So I'll shoot them a little text. There's a little redundancy in communication, but like the other day, someone said, well, make sure this is in the pre-pro book. And I'm like, what's a pre-pro book? We've had this living document that we all share. Just fucking use that. Let's just log into the Google Doc.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's so helpful to work on that with like a production company in like, say, Toronto or or whatever. It's just like you can see who's on it, who's like working. This is not news, but it's so like I said, between chat GPT and Source and like Google Docs, you can kind of get
treatment.
You can get this whole thing going like so much faster than before, where it's like, here's my PDF through email, like, but that's redundancy now.
Tony, I just watched The Big Green House.
Yes.
Is it called The Big Green House or The Big House? I think it's big.
The Big Green House, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So
I just watched The Big Green House, and spoiler alert, you're rooting for this family, this couple and their extended family, from the get-go. And it's a tight 40 minutes. Ends with a song. That's all I'm going to say. But tell me, first of all, give us the synopsis and tell us how you came to make The Big Green House.
So, yeah, this has been an interesting journey for sure. And just to let you know, this documentary is 40 minutes, like you mentioned. It just got semi-finalist in the Dublin Movie Awards and Mexico City Awards. It just played in Minneapolis. But basically what happened is, so I've lived in LA for like 7 years, right? And so I've been coming out here for 15 years for work. But when I was living in Minneapolis, I did a documentary about this band that rented an actual farm barn, like for 2 weeks, brought all their recording equipment in there, and I did a documentary about them making their album in 2 weeks. And
that was the first thing I saw that you made.
Oh, great. Yeah. Low budget. I was second shooting. I'm deaf in one ear. I did sound. Like, that's how low budget we get when the director has one ear and doing sound. But so anyways, I just became friends with this guy, the lead singer of the band, and did some of his music videos. Of course, I did that documentary, and he sang at my parents' funeral. We just became dear friends. Yeah. And so one day he's like, "Hey, meet me for coffee." I was like, okay, I always know there's something going on because he has no time. And so we were talking. He's like, my parents, run this house, right? And I'm like, yeah, I know all about it. And here goes his dad walking by this coffee shop, who I end up spending 6 years making a documentary about. So anyways, what happened is this family moved here from Ireland in 1969 to get away from the Troubles. Right. One of their family members executed. And it was just, a small location to lose 3,000 people. So they moved to the States. They ended up taking over this house in northern Minneapolis called Robbinsdale. And it was a drug house before they moved in. And so, not that they knew that, but over 16 years, they housed over 80 people.
Oh, wow.
Correct me. Edit.
Yeah.
They housed over 80 people that just needed a place to live, or were going to the university to learn their Sioux language that was going away from their tribes in South Dakota, or, it was all like people just needed a place to live, and they weren't like.
And for the listener, Tony, I want to interject two things. Minnesota has a large Native American population.
Yes.
And the Irish couple, the husband is a minister or a reverend or a priest or something.
Yeah, he graduated with a doctorate degree, he became a minister. And this documentary, I'm not religious myself. This documentary isn't all about religion, but they use spirituality to, they have a room that they just bring people together and they sing and do things. And then they all have their the big kitchen, and they have their own little, like, not dorm rooms, but just rooms. Right. So
that's the problem. It isn't a dorm room. They were overpacking people, and a neighbor complained.
They weren't overpacking by any means. There's plenty of room there, but like the neighbor complained because the house wasn't zoned for non-family living there. So basically what happened is Ben told me about the story, the son of the family, and I said, well, maybe I can use my craft to help out, I don't know, just put eyes on it. So I was on set for like 2 days, and then I moved to California. And over the last 6 years, the next 3 years was litigation with the family, and they joke in the film, like, what if all the 25 Kyles, because their last name's Kyle, moved in and would be completely legal, right? But no, they're just helping people that moved in. So, I mean, people have gotten married from being there, and people went through diabetes, and like, there's so many stories inside the house just about the different people. But of course, there's no budget for this film, and so we filmed it over 3 years. We filmed all the footage in the courthouse and everything, and then boom, I'm hit with a hard drive with, I'm not an editor, and I've got this amazing story to tell that has no budget. So it went through three different editors until it finally, the final editor, Tim Cahill in Optimus in Chicago, was like, I'll do this, which is so thankful, But we lost the hard drive for like 6 months between editors. Like, there's just so much to the backstory of this thing. Meanwhile, I'm not getting paid. I'm just trying to get it made,
Yeah.
And,
Well, that's
so,
a passion project by definition right there. Let me ask you a couple questions before you tell us more. So you find the family through your buddy. It's his parents, right?
Yeah.
And the legal woes had already begun. That's what he came to you and said, okay, look, my parents, someone in the neighborhood is complaining. Which, did you ever interview that person?
No.
Probably the original Karen.
Yeah, I know. And it was all because of soccer ball, which you'll see in the movie, is just rolls into her bushes, that she lives in a house that she rents. And, the motto of the city of Robbinsdale is like, help, basically this family is doing what the motto of the city represents, but they aren't getting paid. So, the whole time the city was just like trying to be like, we want to keep the house here. You guys are doing great things, but yeah, so it's 40 minutes, and I think the thing that's interesting is we scored half of it in Northern Ireland, where they come from, and the family is all musicians, so it's something that's just like a true labor of love. I'm not saying it's like the best documentary I've ever made, but I was just happy to be part of the process and part of the outcome, which them keeping the house.
That's great. And a couple more questions here. It's just, again, for the listener, it's not Tony with a handy cam. It looks wonderful. You had a DP. I'm sure you did some shooting yourself. There's some, not home video, but I mean, there's some home videos and photos. How did you get permission to shoot in the public hearings? Is that anyone can shoot there?
That's a good question, because I wasn't there. So I really pay tribute to, Ryan Grams and Joseph Kessler, who kind of took the reins on the live action production side after I moved out of Minneapolis to LA. I became more of an EP than a director, but then fell back into the director role when I was in post production. So
that's where the documentary comes to life, right? Like the director and the DP has to be really immersed in the story to know what pieces to get. And the director has to guide the story. And in my experience, having made 3 feature documentaries and a bunch of shorts, it's really, and this sounds cliche, Tony, it's really relinquishing what you hoped or thought it would be partially to what is. And have an observant, an objective eye in an editor. I edited my last feature documentary, and I didn't show anybody until I said, okay, I'm done. And I was all cocky, like, this is awesome. And I brought my wife to the office. I hit play, and like 8 minutes in, she hits the space bar on the computer, goes, what the hell am I watching? I have no clue. And I go, well, just wait. And then like 4 minutes later, she hits it again and goes, okay, that needs to be first. Then I will understand what this whole thing is about. But right now, it's just some guy on a travel montage. It's a traveling montage. It's terrible.
Right.
Once I had her feedback, and she's a filmmaker, and then this Moink piece that I don't really say I directed it because I was just doing a camera and interviewing, but the people at Session City Hybrid Editorial really shaped the story. I knew the pieces to get, I knew the questions to ask, but man, Susan Monroe and Charla Baker, they crafted an ebb and flow. And then I wonder your opinion, your thoughts on this. Once I was able to not look at shit, because I started the edit and I go, no, I need someone else. Once I saw their edit, I was able to objectively give notes and story points, but the whole emotion was shaped by them.
Definitely. Like, I mean, honestly, like, I thought this was going to be a 10-minute film. It's 40 minutes, right?
Really?
So I credit Tim at Optimus Post in Chicago for just being like diving in, because again, he's the third editor that saw the hard drive, So I had two people back out that I have worked with commercially, and I would think would have taken it on. But
it was overwhelming for them. They just said, I can't see a story here, or I'm too busy, or you're not paying me enough.
New kids, new job, lots of reasons. But Tim just took it and just ran with it. And when when he sent me the first cut at like 48 minutes or whatever, and we cut it down to 40, and like I was just like, wow, this guy, because there was no budget. Like, like I work with them on paid projects too, but I was just blown away. Like, what a good job they did. I mean, major props to Optimus Post for just making a great film.
I had a documentary, and the editor bagged out, and the company who was like, we're behind it. And there was an agency sort of involved as a passion project. And the like a couple weeks went by, and then a couple weeks went by. It was during the pandemic. It wasn't like it was that busy. And I had told the agency, oh, so-and-so is going to help us. And they were like, wow, this project's really taking off. And then like 3 months went by, and I go, okay, guys, you're clearly not helping. And they didn't help one iota. It was so sad. Like, I get it if you say, we just got this big, Microsoft job. But that wasn't the case.
The thing about this one compared to other passion projects was I had something on my shoulders. This family is not only doing great things in turmoil, but there's people living in this house that 80 people over 16 years, that if I don't finish this, it's on my shoulders. We need to finish this. And so having it sit on an editor's desk for 6 weeks, and then finding a different editor, shipping it, paying to ship it to a different editor, sitting on that desk for 3 months, nothing happening, to finally finding out we can't find we can't find.
Yeah, what was that like? Where did this hard thing?
They were like, we're doing all these Walmart and Best Buy and whatever commercials, and they're like, we don't know where the hard drive is. We'll find it. And I'm like, okay, I can't physically go there. So finally they find it. And then finally, like, the kindness of Angelo at Optimus and Tim, the editor at Optimus, was like, send it to us. And I was like, okay. They even found like, animation artists to be part of it. Like they were so great. It was amazing. Like, just to see. So 2 weeks ago, we rented out a theater in Minneapolis. And
which one?
The Riverview, which is like built in 1942, one of the oldest, coolest mid-century modern.
It's down by the river.
Yeah. And so we premiered it there, and they played some music. It was just a great final, ending to the journey of that. Now it's out in the film festival circuit.
I love the film festival circuit. And I just, on TikTok and Instagram and some other platforms I peruse and scroll, I saw young filmmakers, and there are like this one. I love this one young filmmaker. She's always got opinions, and I don't agree with them, but I just love her gumption. And she's like,
Yeah.
I don't like festivals because festivals are over, and you pay your fee, and their profits are on the backs of films that didn't get qualified. Now, of course, I love the big ones, and we'll go to the big ones. And, we all know the big ones from Tribeca and Sundance and Toronto and what would be the others? Doesn't matter, but it's on the tip of my brain here. And I retorted politely and respectfully, what if you're just a filmmaker who wants to see her film in front of a crowd of people who love cinema? Like, to me,
Dude,
the reason to go, I screened a 6-minute short that I made with my sons. Jake did all the sound design. Ben shot it. Jake did live action sound when it's just me talking and some crude stick figure animation to bring it back to the beginning. And it got into the Real, REEL, Real Recovery Film Festival, which is the themes are alcoholism, drug abuse, people in recovery. And I knew the guy because he had played a film like 15 years ago that I made, a documentary. And I said, hey, I think this might interest your film going audience for your festival. And it's at the Laemmle in North Hollywood. So I went out, and there was a Q&A, and there were 5 other films, and I think Jake came out with me, and my wife and a bunch of friends showed up, and I got to see this little passion project on I'm not going to say the biggest screen 6 at the Laemmle, but there was my film at the fucking Laemmle. And I had a blast, and people clapped, and they laughed in all the right places, and they got emotional where I never thought they would. So no one's ever heard of this festival, but it was cheaper than 4-walling a theater so I could see it myself. Now, you have a longer piece. It's worth it. And you're from Minneapolis. I'm sure people came out. That makes it even more rewarding.
I mean, I will say even the Riverview Theater itself sent an email back. So Paul, the main character of the film, has been submitting to he's been submitting to all these film festivals that we've been getting into, and he gave a check to he rented the theater for the Minneapolis, because he wanted all his friends and family to see it in a big theater. But it was so kind of the fact that the guy that owns the Riverview Theater in Minneapolis wrote him an email saying, I ripped up your check because you're still.
Oh, that's super sweet.
So it's just, it's, but what you're saying, it's like, I got to sit next to my girlfriend's parents and show them a film for the first time in a theater that I had made, or, it's so great to see a film in the theater,
Tony, I love that you 4-walled the theater, because that's something that's been around forever in the indie film world, but I don't think enough people invest in they'll invest in their passion project. And then if you just throw it on Vimeo or YouTube, well, where's the fun? Where's the celebration? Where's the ending? Where's the party?
I will say, I call it the event.
Yes.
Where's the
eventize? Yeah. That's part of the method to sell it too.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue into, we can talk about the greenhouse, big greenhouse forever, because it's a magical thing that took 6 years to make and no budget. And I think I've said that enough, but I think we should move on to the Filmmakers Forum, where you were our first guest at this event.
The Filmmakers Forum at the Mess Hall Bar and Grill or Saloon, whatever it is. It's such a great community you've built in 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, we have our 4th one coming up, and I'm not trying to sell it on anything.
Yes,
we don't make money.
When is the 4th?
The 28th of this month, which
Of
is
July.
July, we have Matt Ogans, who just won an Emmy last week or the week before for his film Maru on Disney Plus.
Oh, wow.
But Jordan was our first guest at the Filmmakers Forum and kind of helped us build this community. But it's more of it's a networking event, but I think what it really is an event. It's not like a lot of these meetups in LA, you just go to a bar and you get a name tag and you try to poke shoulders and say who you are or whatever. But this is like you still show up at 6 p.m., you get a name tag, and then, we mingle for half an hour. But then we all go back to this back patio, which is really intimate with all these nice lights and it's great because then we have a Q&A with a guest speaker for an hour, and we have 45 minutes of like myself and Ryan Cook doing the Q&A, and then we open up the last 15 minutes to the crowd to do ask questions, and we have everything from a rep like Veronica Lombardo to a director like Jordan Brady to we just had Matt Enlow on.
Matt Enlow of Just Shoot It fame, the yin to Oren Kaplan. Man, that was a great. I missed that one, but I know it's going to be great. And you record these for a podcast, I understand.
Yeah, and we're so we started to record them as a podcast, but now we're doing video as well, so that'll start to come out. But it's just a good way. It's a good way to like just very casually meet other filmmakers and go through an event process. It's like it's more than just like going to a bar and be like, hey, how whatever, this is what I do. It's more of like everyone goes through a thing together. So after the Q&A, we go back into the restaurant and they have food and drink specials at the mess hall, and everyone's kind of went through a process together, so they're much more intuitively connective, and they can talk to each other, and we don't get paid for it, but we really love putting it on. So the next one, the 28th, July 28th at 6 p.m.
I'm going to put that in the show notes for everybody. And what's great about, you're providing a sense of community, which I think we all need when it's slow or when the political turmoil in the United States gives us something to complain about. But what I really like, if I can use one of the newer words, is by having a guest speaker, it's like a built-in prompt. It gives people a prompt to discuss. What'd you think of what Veronica said? Tell me about your rep situation. So by having the event, you're making it more than just, I might go. Because whenever I've gone to a meetup that doesn't have a core event, I'm always like at the last minute going, I'm going to schmooze for a while. I guess I can show up late. By having an agenda, people know to show up at 6, mingle, get the name tag, sniff the indelible marker, go to the podcast, and have one of the best burgers on the East Side.
Yeah, no, and also, I think that's what it is. It's like, it's not just like this cookie cutter event. It's like, we're all going to go through this process together. We're going to come out at the end and be through it together. And, I based this on, I was going with Ryan, my co-host. We were going to these events all the time. I'm like, these are just so boring. Like, what are we doing? Like, why am I driving an hour each way just to like hopefully meet a producer or something? But
or someone that wants my job.
Yeah, mostly. And I'm not going to say people at our event are looking for work, or young filmmakers, or right by AFI, but
there's old timers there. Yours. I met some old timers.
Yeah, there's
seasoned producers, and
I mean, we have people coming from 2 hours away, that north and south here.
Oh wow!
And I do think that even though maybe they are looking for work, they offer years of experience to someone that's just getting in the business, that you might work 5 months through email to try to get that meeting, where you get it right there instantly. So I just think it's a good thing. And as you know, like I mentor like 7 directors at all times. So this is just my way of giving back, almost like the big green house, using my craft to see what I can do with it, and you know, I also like people come to me at this event and be like, we love your documentary work or your commercial work, we need this done, so it helps me too. But mostly it's just like, there's nothing on the east side to bring people together. And this is great because there's a lot of people on the east side that are just looking for this.
Tony, you've been on the show before, you've answered this question, but I want to see if maybe in 2025 it's different. What does respect the process mean to you?
I think, in these times, it's just continually just do what you can to put yourself out there and keep yourself busy and, find the paid jobs for sure, but find the jobs that you can help people with your craft and just be good to each other and thank people that find you the work. And I think mostly just be kind and work hard.
Be kind and work hard. I do believe in the law of attraction, that you put out good energy, good work, be of service to people that need your help or just that are doing great things and you want to support it, that opportunities will find their way to you. And
also, this is cliche, but I have no elevator to send down to bring people up, but like as much as I can, help people out, just like help people that want to learn about this stuff, learn about it. Because I think a lot of what we do is just, if you're 17 or 18, you just have no idea what this is all about unless you grow up with it, right? So if you're in the middle of nowhere and you want to be a filmmaker, well, you have all the opportunities now with the iPhone and things like that. But just be open to that random email that someone sends you like, hey, found you on Jordan Brady's podcast. Can I get half-hour conversation with you? Of course, let's talk. What's on your mind?
Where should people find Tony Franklin?
TonyFranklinDirector.com and Tony__Franklin Insta. That's about it, really.
I'll put a link to.
Are you on the TikTok?
If you're barely, I mean, a couple times a week. It's too crazy for me. I enjoy scrolling, but putting content there, it's not my audience. I mean, there's some great filmmakers I met on there, so I shouldn't say that. But where can we see the Big Green House?
So if you go to my
or do we wait until the festival circuit?
I mean, typically yes, but I mean, this isn't. You can just go to TonyFranklinDirector.com under the documentary page.
And Tony was going to hold back, but he thought for you, the fans of this show, that you can check it out. So that's the secret place.
Yeah, and I there's a lot of documentaries under my documentary page that are very, passion driven. I recommend the one I did about hate crimes for LA Unity, LA County. That one was shot on 16 millimeter film, and I don't know, something about that one really is close to my heart.
Oh, that's great. Well, Tony, thanks for coming back on. I'll put links to your website and your Instagram with the blog that goes with the podcast. If there's anything we didn't cover, we're going to jump back on in the next couple of days and add it.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Always great to talk to Tony Franklin. Again, I hope I can see you July 28th, 6 p.m. at the Filmmakers Forum that Ryan Koch and Tony Franklin put on. And it's great. It's a great chance to mingle. They have name tags, which, Helen, I think that was my suggestion because I enjoy a good name tag. Hello, my name is Jordan fucking Brady. If you have any questions about the retreat, I'm going to load you up with online classes. I'm going to do an onboarding call with you, find out what you want to learn and where you're struggling, where you shine. And then you're going to come out to Joshua Tree and you're going to leave with actionable steps. You're going to learn some of my methods. You're going to learn from the other filmmakers in attendance. And you're going to have a big reset. You're going to hit a big reset button on your heart and remember why you love filmmaking.
Commercial Directing Film School's mission is to help filmmakers direct commercials professionally. With online courses and in-person boot camps, we demystify the process to get you to the next level, all taught by your accessible mentor, filmmaker Jordan Brady.
True Gentleman Industries. We make commercials.